Thank you for doing that, and thank you for being here. Is this amazing? We see Harlan on the book tours, obviously, because he sold something like 80 million copies of his books, 35 novels, New York Times best-selling list, every award known to man, every Seamus Award and Edgar Award and all these international awards. The Spanish love him. The British love him, the Germans love him, the French adore you.
I'm the Jerry Lewis of crime fiction. The French love me, Jerry Lewis. I keep saying to my German publisher, I want to be the David Hasselhoff of publishing, but I'm not quite there yet. I do well there, but not David Hasselhoff well.
So you have become this international renowned star, and your writing career was phenomenal to begin with, clearly, right? We're all fans from back in the 90s with Myron Bolitar and that whole series, although you did write a couple of books before that. And then, of course, the spin-off about Myron's nephew, which is now a Netflix series as well. The Shelter.
Amazon Prime. Sorry.
I was going to say, he's the king.
I'll get an email saying I went to Amazon, I looked up Shelter, it wasn't there. I get, so I want
See,
Shelter
everyone
is
has
on
those problems.
Prime Video.
Okay. All right. And he really is the king of Netflix now. So that's really what a turn. And he and I were discussing in the lobby earlier. I said, I think one of the things that's so remarkable about the creative industry in general is this now, so we have this streaming services, right? When we started out in our careers 30 plus years ago, which, we're the same vintage, you could never project that, there's going to be such a thing as a streaming service where we can be creative and give lots of jobs to people and have so many opportunities. And I think for someone like you, such a prolific writer, that what an opportunity for you, what a wonderful opportunity and a change and probably a twist in your own career that perhaps you didn't see.
Yeah, it was my first production that I ever had a book adapted was Tell No One is a French film a number of years ago, and that ended up being a super positive experience versus some of the American stuff. And I sort of fell in love with the idea of working overseas. But what's great about like Netflix or Prime or some of the other ones is you can make it as long or short as you want. I never really had an interest in TV because, when we were growing up, first of all, some of us, there was barely TV, black and white, but for the rest of us, most TV series are 22 episodes long. They're exactly an hour, so they're 41 minutes of TV. You have to start the story and end the story. In the beginning, what we all grew up with, and that really didn't hold much of an interest for me. But with Netflix, I've had shows that are 8 episodes, 7, 6. The one I'm doing right now, I'm filming the next one I'm filming is 5 episodes only. I can make it as long or as short. I can make some episodes 55 minutes. Some episodes are as low as the finale of Fool Me Once, which shocked them because usually the finales always come in really long. And I said, I'm coming in under 40 minutes because I got this thing tight. I want this thing really short. I want to go right to the ending. And so streaming services give you that. And everything streaming services give you, especially Netflix, is a tremendous amount of an audience. And you can watch it anytime. If you haven't watched it, you can go home tonight. You can watch 1, you can watch 2, you can watch all 8, which I recommend. But, on Fool Me Once, we had, in the first 90 days, 100 million households worldwide watch all 8 episodes.
Wow.
Right?
And you're number 6 streaming.
6 all time.
All time streaming on Netflix.
Yeah, so it's really, but the idea is because they also have 190 countries. It's not just the U.S., which is really, for a creative, is so exciting. And when I first get the people in the room, we have our first table read, I always say to them, just so you know, one day, we're going to drop at midnight, whatever, Pacific, I think it's GMT time, all 8 episodes in 190 countries, something like 230 million subscribers, and more people are going to see you by the next morning you wake up than I don't care what shows you've been on, probably the rest of your life combined. Which is really a nice thing to say to actors, doesn't make them too nervous to start off. I just want to get them. And the other thing I say is that, most of these books, the ideas came to me while sitting in a house in the corner of my house in Ridgewood. or maybe in the Starbucks in Ridgewood. I kind of had this weird little stupid idea. And then I go on set and there's 200 super talented people, many of them are in the industry or here, bring it to life in front of my eyes with actors and actresses and cameras and sound and key grips. I still don't know what a key grip is, but I know it's important. All that, like, from a stupid little idea I had sitting alone in my house going like, what if? And if that doesn't jazz and excite you, man, you are in the wrong business. It's just, it never gets cooler. I just came back from England, and we're filming a show with Sam Claflin, who, if you don't know, believe me, your daughters know who he is, but Daisy Jones in The Six, he was just in Hunger Games, Me Before You.
He's hot.
Yeah. And even hotter, Bill Nye. Bill Nye, it looks like Nighy, N-I-G-H-Y.
Bill Nye, the science guy?
No, that's what I mean, Bill Nye. He's
not
actually pronounced
hot.
Bill Nye. Oh, he's hot. This one is hot. He's, if you remember Love Actually, he was the funny guy singing the rock and roll songs from that. We play a father-son duo. And I'm on set in this gorgeous set we built, and I'm like, I just had this weird little idea. And now these people.
But are you actually doing the screenwriting yourself, or do you have someone doing that part of it? Because obviously a script looks a little bit different than a novel, so how is that process for you?
I usually work on the outlines, I do the rewrites. Rarely though, in this one I just mentioned with Sam Claflin and Bill Nye, I did write the first episode. I co-wrote it with one of the guys I write with a fair amount, the guy who also wrote the first episodes of Fool Me Once, Strangers, Stay Close, and Safe, that were just up there. We've done a lot of work together. So I actually co-write some. I'm on all of them, but I don't really have the time, or I just can't. I just, you know, it's across too many shows. Plus, I still have to do my novel. I still do a novel a year. I still consider this, I consider the novel still my day job. And this
is just for fun?
Well,
There's some extra tip
It
money.
is a lot of fun. I will say, you know, I spent my 36th or 37th, I lose count, book. Think Twice comes out May 14th, so 2 weeks from now, May 14th. Right, so it's like one a year. So it started when I was like 7. But you know, but that's, you know, you are alone in a room, and I am a socially adept introvert. I like being alone in a room. But you know, now they finally let me out of my cage, and they kind of work together. So I just came back from being on set, and I love being on set for like 3 days. Then I lose my mind. And then I want to run home and lock myself in a room and go back to the novel. Then I get a little tired writing the novel because I'm all alone. So I go back on set, and it kind of works out that I'm able right now to do both.
That's fantastic. I love it. And you know, so many of us know that you live in Ridgewood. You're a Jersey boy. You were born in New York. Grew up in Livingston High. Now you live in Ridgewood for many years. And I love, especially in your older books, there's always a mention of Ridgewood, a street, a name, a little anecdote, a little story. So I know your local audience obviously gets such a charge out of that when we recognize ourselves or our neighbors or our friends from the library. We really get a kick out of that. So we appreciate that you keep some of your stuff super hyper local. And even the newest series, they're in England, but they live in Ridgewood. Where are you from? I live in Ridgewood. And like, oh, look at that. I wonder how to say in that town, naming that town in the series. I know that there's a couple of zombies here. Hello, zombies. Thanks for showing up for Harlan. It's very fitting. I know some of you, longtime fans of Harlan. Do any of you have any questions?
Yes. How long does it take to write a screenplay, as a matter of fact?
How long does it take to write a screenplay? It really depends. I'm a fast writer. I will say this, if someone is a screenwriter out here. Most screenwriters take too damn long to write their screenplay. Just write it, man. Turn out the voice in your head that says you suck, because we all have it. I've written 37 novels and a lot of TV shows, and every day I still wake up thinking I suck. That's just part of what goes on. But you have to write through it, and you know, as a writer, the first draft should be bad. A famous writer named Anne Lamott wrote a great book on writing. If you're ever interested in writing, a book on writing, it's called Bird by Bird. It's also very funny, and she calls it the shitty first draft. Am I allowed to say that? So the idea is you just get it down. Just get it down. I try to write in like, don't worry if it sucks. Don't worry. Turn up that voice, because you can always rewrite it. It's like diamond mining. Not that I'm an expert in diamond mining, but like you take a rock out of the ground, it's really ugly, right? But that's where the value is. And then the second, third trap, that's when you make it something shiny and bright and something you want to wear. So turn off that voice of doom. So it doesn't take. I've written screenplays in less than 2 or 3 weeks if I know where the story is going. Novel usually takes me about 9 months, like childbirth. So both are painful. Both the best part's the idea. Anyway, but the thing is, it should take you less time than you think. That's what the whole.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, question, yeah?
Did Charlotte write any of this for the
Oh, let's talk about Charlotte.
So Harlan Coben's my daughter, who's 30, grew up in Ridgewood, was a New Players, wrote a lot of the plays for New Players.
Yep, she's a product of Ridgewood High
That's
School.
right.
Love that.
And she's written episodes for 3 different shows, but more important, after I trained her so I could start, taking a little time off, and she was going to write, she wrote one of the episodes for Fool Me Once, and she was going to write for Missing You, the other one, but she got her own show, which is it was on Amazon Prime in the UK, and it's currently on Tubi, which, yes, you have Tubi. If you just put in Dead Hot Tubi, that's the name of her show, Dead Hot, it pops up, it's free. Tubi is the largest streaming service that's free in the world. It's a huge, and you won't believe what it has on. By the way, it also has my French movie Tell No One on it. I didn't know that until I went and looked at Charlotte's show. It's called Dead Hot. It's 6 episodes. It's bonkers. It's nuts. It's very, very funny. A very young cast. If you saw Downton Abbey, Penelope Wilton, who played one of the 2 old ladies, is in it as well. So it's a great cast. It's very funny. There's my pitch for Harlan Coben's Dead Hot. And yeah, I couldn't, obviously I couldn't be prouder. And she's better than I was at that age by a lot. So, but a lot of it was growing up, I think, growing up with me, learning to write that way. And really, she had the initiative, something like this. You have student films going on here, right? That's how she sort of started too. She did student films, and she's wrote a lot of plays, and a lot of them weren't very good, and then they get better and better. Writing is one of the few activities where quantity will inevitably make quality. You just have to keep doing it. It's the people who stop that eventually, will make that next step.
And how do you have time? I know you're producing now, you're a showrunner now. How do you have time, and what do you do, and what are your responsibilities?
I have no other life. I mean, it's really important. I can't stress this enough. I have no hobbies. I don't collect anything. I don't really do any. All I do is write. So if I'm not, and part of being a writer, I think, is having this guilt that whenever I'm not writing, I feel guilty about it. So even like when we were younger and we would write games together with our kids, or I would be driving the carpool, there was always a voice in my head that's like, you should be home writing. The only thing I do is golf, which I'm terrible at. Like, I don't know why I took up golf. I should have just broken a glass and jammed in my eye, but instead I took up golf. But even then, I'm always a little voice saying, you should be home writing. It's usually somebody I almost did with an errant tee shot who's saying that. But it's really a big part of it. You have to be a little bit obsessive, I think, in any of these things. And people who love making movies or love making TV or love writing books, which I do all 3, it's sort of all I think about. So if I'm going to do, and plus that's my like a lot of you have a hobby that's probably creative. You like to paint, or my job already is creative. So I do it, it's sort of all I do, is be a father or parent, and I write. The quick story that I once heard from a sort of famous rock and roll star talking to another rock star. And he was saying this rock star got into Persian carpets, loved Persian carpets, and he started buying more houses just to get more Persian carpets. And every weekend, he would go with his wife, and they would look at new Persian carpets. He was traveling to look at Persian carpets. And you know what? He forgot to write more music. The guy's written a new song in like 20 years because he got so into Persian carpets. I am anti-Persian carpet. I got nothing. My joy in life is to produce a book, and when you get to think twice in a couple of weeks that you're going to read it, or you're going to watch one of these shows when you go home tonight, what's better than that? I'm so freaking lucky that that's what I do all the time. So that's how I do time.
Amen. We have some more questions.
What was it like getting your first book published?
What was it like?
Do you remember?
What was it like getting your first? Did you start good sex? No, just, no. It was the first book. The funny thing is, the first book was extraordinarily special. one of the things that I also had going for me that it's hard to recommend this, but in hindsight it was really good, is I had very low expectations. I've had incremental ambition. So my dream in life when I was in my early 20s, if I could just have one book published, just one book. I just want to one day walk past the store and see my book. Okay, 2. Just to show it wasn't a fluke, 2. If I could just scratch out a living so I'm not embarrassing myself by doing this. Okay, if I could one day skim number 15 on a bestseller list. Just one, and then, if I could hit 1, if I could just hit 1. So I was always incremental in it, and I've enjoyed sort of every step. And in a couple of days, the first copies of Think Twice will come to my house, and they'll be in a box, and I will take the time to sit and appreciate it as I'm opening the box, even if it's my 36th or 37th, and I even forgot how many times I've done this before. I try to have that same thought. And the thing that inspires me is you guys. Like, I can't wait for you guys to read it. I want it to be the best thing I've written yet. And that's how I try to function and all that stuff. So I do recommend incremental ambition. I really do. It really kind of works. But I mean, if you had told me a few years ago that I would have 8 shows on Netflix, I would have laughed in your face.
Right.
But man plans, God laughs.
Fantastic. We have our sports person.